go away. The foam kind of went away and now it's coming back. And you see all the white floating on top? That's eventually going to go down to the bottom and start browning in there. That's what brown butter is. It's caramelized milk solids. That's the white stuff on top, milk solids. And so I just keep moving it. And what I'm doing is, I'm going to turn the heat down slightly. What I'm doing is toasting the milk solids right now. They're looking very white, but they're going to turn brown. And once they start turning brown, it's going to go real quick. The foam's going to go away now. And we're going to start seeing milk solids in the bottom start to brown. See, the foam just went away? Now we will witness browning. It foams twice, people. Brown butter, it's a beautiful thing. Those chunkies in there are just duck blood, basically. Brown butter together with duck fat, are you kidding me? I've got my sage right next to me here. So when this browns, my sage is, the fire's going off, and the sage is going right in. I'm starting to see a little bit of browning just kind of sticking to the pan. This butter I have these days is very wet butter. There's a lot of water in it. It takes a long time to start browning. I'm gonna get that thing out of there so you guys can see better. Oh, I just broke it up. And I'm really starting to see the brown in there now. And we are looking at brown butter. I'm turning off the pot. The residual heat is going to keep cooking that butter. And now you can see brown in there. I'm going to throw in my sage, all of it. And you can see it's releasing all of its oils in there. And now I got a functioning sage brown butter that's going right onto that gnocchi. It's pretty greasy and naughty, okay? Beautiful. And those brown... Bummer, it ended. It ended, yeah. So it just ended and I'm starting up again. For those of you that were watching, we're gonna finish this up. My dish is like seconds away here, okay? So my apologies. Let me kind of turn this. I just poured the sage brown butter on my gnocchi. All I need to do now, I'm gonna kick on the heat. I'm gonna toss in my greens and wilt these just for a second. I rinsed off these greens, they're a little bit wet. They're going right in there and they take about 2 seconds to cook. Greens will cook, you know, with Hearth's language. You give them the stink eye and greens will overcook on you, right? You don't need much heat here. And so I just kind of am going to toss these just a few times. And now, very important, before I plate this, the last thing I do before I plate anything, I'm going to adjust seasoning, okay? Thanks guys for jumping on over here. My gnocchis are seasoned through and through. Back when I was making that dough, I made sure to season the dough so there's not just flavor on the outside, there's seasoning through and through. I can take the nutmeg in there as well. That's a beautiful gnocchi. Very tender, it's not firm, it's not like I have to bite through it or anything. I'm digging this gnocchi, I'm very pleased. It's got enough heat. I'm feeling pretty good about this. And so there it is, gnocchi with brown butter and wilted greens, okay? I'm gonna toss in my squash as well. And just toss that a few times just to warm it. By the way, this sage brown butter is classic with butternut squash. That's why I kind of picked this one. And by the way, I think I mentioned in the beginning, I could have just made a butternut squash gnocchi instead of a potato gnocchi, but I wanted to keep it straightforward and simple for you guys. So just tossing that all together. Last thing I want to toss in are a few of those parsley leaves. And then I'm also going to save a few of those for the top. I love that look of whole herb leaves. Okay, let me kind of back off here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut up this larger duck breast, I think. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the temperature here. Okay, before I cut into this thing, I got my sharp knife here. I'm going to sharpen it a little more. I usually go backwards as I steal. Some people go the other direction. The important thing is pick a direction and go with it for the rest of your life. Don't keep switching up. Your knife will go dull on you. All right. So I am going to angle my knife blade this way. And I'm also, what I don't want to do is cut straight down. I'm going to get a little teeny piece like this. If I angle my blade, I'm going to get a bigger piece. And if I angle my blade this way and I angle my cuts this way, I'm gonna get an even bigger piece. So I wanna kind of demonstrate that for you. I'm gonna just take off this first piece. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but it was like, as it was going through that crispy skin. That's the bomb. By the way, you're gonna be seeing some medium here, okay? That's what I'm looking for. I'm going as thin as I can get. And I don't want my slices to get turned around. I want to keep them in order, so when I present, all those slices are in order. If one of them flips over, you got to skin upside down. Just doesn't make sense on the plate. I think I'll just plate one of these because my dinner is going to be 10 minutes away. So I'll just show you one plate. Can you hear that skin? It's very crispy. That is the goal, okay? Looking at the center, guys, pretty nice little medium right there, okay? Kind of what I'm looking for, okay? So I'm gonna throw that right back where I got it. I don't want those to get out of order. Oops, it went in there. All those slices are still in order, okay? That's a big duck breast. That's enough for 2 people right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plate this guy. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of moisture to this, because I don't like it all just fat, okay? So I put a little bit of vegetable stock in there. I think I mentioned that earlier. And I'm gonna go ahead and plate, okay? Now, hot food on hot plates, okay? So I'm gonna just warm this slightly real quick on my stove. It's a no-no. Usually in restaurants, we got a place where we can keep all our plates warm. But every night at dinner, I do food on hot plates. So I just do this little trick. I don't just leave the direct flame. You guys can see I'm kind of moving the flame around. And the plate's hot, okay? So what I'm gonna do is grab a spoon. I don't like giant ones, so just a little spoon. I'm gonna put a little mound of my gnocchi, butternut squash, and greens in the center here. I don't think you guys can see that. Let me put that down here where you can see. And then I'm going to pick up these pieces here. And earlier I said I don't want to get the pieces out of line, but I've got this end piece right here. I'm going to take that and hide it in the back, okay? And that stands it all up. And then I'm just going to pick these guys up and lay them on down. They're all still in order there. And what I want to do is kind of show off that crispy skin. So I want the skin up. And I want to show off that medium rare to the guest. And then finally, the last thing, I'm going to plate a cup, or I'm going to garnish with a few of these whole parsley stems. Boom. A couple of them around the plate in a random fashion. That's not a very pretty one. Get rid of that. Maybe poke one up front there. Boom. And you're done. Okay. And that's kind of the plate right there. Okay. Beautifully rendered duck breast. If you notice, if you can get in really, really tight on this, or if I can, the fat was completely cooked out of the skin there. You can see where it was. Look at the edge right there. That's where the fat was. And I cooked all of that fat out. I'm not sure how well you can see that stuff. But that was kind of it, guys. Let's sum up, okay? Today, we talked all about a ton of stuff, right? You guys learned a bunch of stuff. You went to culinary school today, basically, okay? What we talked about in the beginning was the difference between searing, pan frying, and rendering, okay? And rendering is kind of the lowest temperature of the three, and then pan fry is the next temperature up, and then you got the searing, which is super high. That's 11 on the scale, right? The Spinal Tap scale. We saw a gnocchi being made without a recipe, right? I talked about, hey, I mash up the potato and I put in about an equal amount of flour. I just eyeball it. I work in a couple of yolks and some nutmeg and salt, and that's all I put into that thing. I didn't put anything else in there. You saw me boil it. We talked about the pasta boiling method, which is another cooking technique that I spend time on in culinary school teaching, right? We talked about all of that. Let's see, we talked about the boiling method for, we made the gnocchi, we boiled the gnocchi, and then we seared the gnocchi. So we demonstrated searing again. We seared off the duck breast, and then you saw those greens go in, wilt, and things like that. We talked about a ton of stuff, okay? Why am I doing this, guys? I do this every day. My goal in life, I feel like I have a calling. I'm almost a preacher man here. My goal is to get more people cooking. I said it last week. There are far too many people that come home with processed food and they sit on the couch and eat it while they're watching celebrity chefs on TV cook through recipes, or just yell at each other, or they watch the guys on Chop stabbing each other in the back, or whatever it is, right? Cooking so ain't about that, right? I don't see any cooking education happening on that TV. That is why I have made this my mission in life. I shout about it, I scream about it in front of anybody that will listen. Cooking is so easy, and nobody talks about the actual technique, and I wish we did. And so hey, I might have to do another one of these culinary happy hours again a little earlier than before next Monday, because I think I told you I have some short ribs that are just waiting to go in a crock pot or something like that, right? So if I do that, I'm going to do it in a couple of days, maybe on Wednesday, and we will talk about braising. It might be an early class, actually. I think I'll do it in the morning so I can wind up eating it at dinner, because I'm going to need dinner on Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, I think I'll do another Facebook Live for you guys. Okay, sound good? Anything other than that, I think that's it for the day. I'm going to call it a day. Here's that plate again. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Not too fancy, but not too bad for just around my house in my crappy little kitchen that I always bitch about, right? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me. Let's get another one of these in before we sign off. Sorry about all the technical difficulties. I suck at all this engineering. Maybe when all of this is over, I can recruit a few people to kind of help me with that sort of stuff. But hey, all I know in life is the kitchen, man. It's all I've ever done that's been useful to anybody. So yeah, so that's what it is, guys. Cheers again. Thanks so much for coming. I think I have a lot more fun with this stuff than you guys do, and I get to eat at the end. So keep coming back, and hey, just don't forget, guys, the party's always in the kitchen, okay? Take care, guys, and we will see you. Prost, salud, mazel tov, all the rest. Love you guys.